Yeah, you want to be real Seattle? Toe socks and flip-flops. That's the real deal. Anyway, I thought we'd take a look at this guy, the evolution of it. So I discovered from having the battery back here that my knees would occasionally hit it, and that sucks. So I moved it forward. Excuse me. I swapped the grips out just because I had these laying around. I put some ergon grips on it before, and they clamp down at the end, and they just don't stay on there. So I'm going to find some different, more ergonomic and comfortable grips for this. But those work okay for now. Got the Brooks saddle on there. That may have been on the last video. Obviously, I've done some of the cabling, and I've got some white zip ties up there because I just don't care. And what else we got here? No changes down here. That's all factory. That's how it came. Oh, yeah, I did put the SKS fender on there. This fender is killer, man. It is so awesome. And I had to cut it out a little bit to get around some of the wiring, but it's like a perfect fit. I love that. And I've commuted with this guy for the last 2 days. So it's still new to me, but we'll get into that in a minute. So there's the motor. There's the pedal spacer I was talking about in my last video right here. Yeah, right there. So that just gets the pedal a little further out, and that saved me all the effort and time of removing this motor and reinstalling it. And now my alignment's great. I've pedaled the bike enough that my knees don't hurt. Like there's no issues. So everything should work out, and my feet naturally settle in a comfortable position now. So that's great. Excuse me again, my God. This cheesy little thing came with the electric motor. That's just there until my SKS front fender gets here. That's supposed to get here in a little while. So same company that makes that fender, I'll have a fender in the front. It'll look pretty sweet. And then my Old Man Mountain front basket and rack assembly is coming. That should be here in the next couple of days. So you'll get to see what that looks like. I've put my Top Expert pack that's got my extra tubes and bike tools and stuff like that. That's in here. I might figure out what I want to do as far as this mess goes. I mean, I like my Top Expert pack though, you know, like I don't really want to pull that off and replace it. It's been with me, you know what I mean? Yeah. And the tubeless tires are working out great. I had some issues with the front one losing air, but as they say, just take it for a ride and it's fine. They've both been holding pressure just fine, front and rear, no tubes. God, it's so crazy going from something like this, right? This is a great bike too. As you can tell, I swapped out the handlebars, so I went from the flat bar to the tourist bar off of my old green bike that I retired. But going from a fully rigid old school rim brake bike like this, I mean, this thing feels like a Cadillac. It's, for one thing, it's like a foot longer than the other bike. And then it's full suspension, which is like riding on a cloud. This is like a commuter's freaking dream. It's so nice. And it's going to look so weird too, being like a cross-country full suspension mountain bike with a Brooks saddle and my MKS pedals and all the other funky stuff I'm going to do to it to make it a viable commuter. But I don't care. I like being weird. I'm perfectly comfortable with it. But yeah, it's such a different experience. So I don't really see a need to mess with any of the bike components. You know, the brakes, awesome. The 10-speed in the rear, exactly what I wanted. I did not want a fancier model because I did not want an 11 or a 12-speed. What I really wanted was a 9-speed, but they didn't have a full suspension bike from Polygon with a 9-speed, at least that I saw. Normally the 9-speeds come with a 2-speed in the front. This one's a single speed in the front from the factory and the 10-speed in the rear. But the reason I wanted less gears was because I wanted a stronger chain. Those, the more gears you put in the back, the narrower the chain starts to get. And with the torque of this motor can put out 110 pound-feet of torque. That's a lot of torque. Now, the way I ride it, it's probably almost never going to be putting that kind of torque out. But it can do it. And like, why would I install something on my bike and make it, God, excuse me, and make it so that I have allergies to like dogs, and of course I own dogs, and so my throat just gets full of crud, and there's nothing I can do about it. I apologize. But anyway, I'm not the kind of guy who's going to install a motor that's twice as powerful as he needs to and then, not make sure that the bike can actually handle it. I mean, that was actually why I bought this bike in the first place, because it was obvious that my last bike just would not be able to handle this kind of power output without sacrificing my safety, given that the frame had already begun to crack just from the weight of me and my gear, not with the additional weight of a battery and a motor. And then all the torque the motor puts out. But yeah, so the 10-speed was the best, strongest I could get. I'm really happy with it. I've got a 38 tooth in the front. I had the option from CYC to go with a 38 or a 32. I had bought this motor for a different bike, so that's why I went with a 38. If I had bought this specifically for this bike, I probably would have gone with the 32. This bike came with a 32 in the front. So it would have been the exact same ratio as built with. Now, having the 38 is not a disability. If you're using this as a commuter bike in most places, a 38 tooth is actually going to be preferable. The reason I like a smaller cog in the front is because I live in Seattle, and Seattle is covered in hills. And we have super steep hills. So just down the street from me is a hill that's at least 20% grade. I've never measured it, but I've been up other 20% grade hills, and they don't even seem as steep. So it's at least 20. It could be 22, could be 23. I don't know. I haven't been able to find that info. But for sure, it's at least 20. It's called Charleston Hill. It's a real short hill, but it's so steep. And I took this bike up that hill. I used to be able to ride my old bikes up that hill, fully loaded and everything. It was slow going. But with this bike, I can't, with the 38 tooth in the front, I cannot climb that hill with the weight of this bike on just me power. So, I mean, I probably, excuse me, I probably could, but I would probably not be able to walk for a week afterwards. It would be really difficult. So if I turn my power assist on the lowest level, which I think is like, I've got it set for about 200 watts and about 25% torque output. So it's not much. I would say it's basically like a little bit less than doubling the amount of power I put out by myself. I can cruise up that street, no problem, with the lowest level of power assist. So there's a couple of little hills around here like that. If I had that 32 tooth in the front, I'm confident that I would have been able to climb that steep of a hill without any assist at all. It still wouldn't be fun, but anyway, this whole e-bike thing and full suspension bike thing, it's all new for me. Good Lord. I'm so sorry about that. Anyway, so I'm learning a lot about everything right now. This is all new. I've ridden this as a commuter 2 days, yesterday and today. Yesterday, I rode it with no assist. The only exception was I used the lowest level of assist to go up 2 really short, really steep hills. And my calorie burn and the amount of time that it took me to get home was identical as if I was riding that. So that tells me what I needed to know, right? No surprise there. Well, today I used the lowest level of assist, which, like I was saying earlier, was like 200 watts. I could look in the app and see what I've actually got it set for, but it's not much, right? As far as assist goes. And I actually burned 20 more total calories, and I burned 40 more active calories, but I made it home in 10 less minutes. So I cut 10 minutes off of my commute. My average speed went from 6 miles an hour to 10 miles an hour, but I actually burned more calories. Like, not 40 more active calories is a lot. 20 more total calories is like just outside of the margin of error window. So obviously I've only done this yesterday and today, only today with the assist. So we'll see what the overall results are over time. But for now, I'm pleasantly surprised, because cutting 10 minutes off my commute time is amazing, and I'm burning more calories. So that's like the best win ever. The only downside now is I like to do a minimum of 20 minutes of cardio every single day. A minimum. Most days I exceed my minimum and I get 25 to 35 minutes of cardio. But I like getting my cardio in. And so now that I've cut my commute time down by 10 minutes, I'm going to have to figure out what to do. I guess maybe on a crappy day like today when it's raining and gross, I could ride my Peloton and make up the difference, which sounds attractive. But on a nice day, maybe I'll just extend my commute and ride more distance and burn even more calories. I don't know. I'm really curious to see how this plays out, and I'll keep everybody updated. I'm just shocked that I burned more calories in less time with assist. Obviously, there's going to be a point of diminishing returns. So a certain level of assist, you're going to burn a lot less calories. So we'll get into the e-bike part of this, since this wasn't really set up last video. Obviously, the motor, the battery, blah, blah, blah. Here's the throttle. I had intended to not use the throttle because the brake cutoff switches I got don't really work with these brakes. I have had zero problems so far. I've been riding it, like putting it around the neighborhood for the last 4 or 5 days, and it just hasn't been an issue. That's the display, and that's, you know, I'll just turn it on real quick so you can see how it works. I opted for the less fancy display. I didn't need the big, cool display, but that's your mile per hour readout. There's your temperature, and there's the trip distance, excuse me. And then there's the voltage of the battery pack. This battery barely lost any voltage at all on level 1 over a 2.5 mile trip. So I would anticipate really impressive total mileage out of this battery pack if I was using the lowest level of power assist. So that's good to know. Obviously, I got my hat. I love these Phoenix BC30, I think is what this is. Man, this is an old light. I've had this thing for over 10 years. It's such a good light. These Phoenix bike lights are something else with the dual beam and everything. They're so cool. And then there's, of course, the shifter. So, and then this battery has a power switch in it right there. And then this side, you got a USB-C hookup and some other junk that I'll probably never use. Anyway, yeah, so that's how all that is set up. So it's very user-friendly. To change the assist level, you have up and down arrows here. So if I'm riding and I'm in trouble and I need assist, I can click up real quick and boom, I'm getting some help. That's coming really handy on the hills because I'm still figuring out what I can and can't do with this guy. The base weight of the bike is 38 pounds. With all this other gear on it, you're definitely tipping the scales over 50. And then when I get the front rack on there with my gear on it, we're probably looking at like 70, 80 pounds in bicycle with my stuff. And then I'm 260. So that was another factor in why I wanted suspension, because it seems to me like stresses being transmitted into the frame would be eased by having front and rear suspension. So I'm probably less likely to break the frame. Now this frame is built to do stuff that I am never going to do on it. Like I'll never be doing jumps. Like I'm not into that stuff. At least if I ever get into that stuff, it's going to be on a different bike. It's not going to be on this one. But like this is just a commuter, man. So yeah, anyway, there's a quick update. I'll show you all the other stuff as it makes it onto the bike, and then do one on its final form. And then I'll probably come back and update y'all on the fitness aspect of it. Like, are you looking for an e-bike and you're curious about what impacts it's going to have on your fitness? Well, I've only ridden it twice, and then I compared that data to the data I've accumulated from years and years and years of commuting the same route on bikes like this guy. And what I can tell you is, without assist, my stats on this bike are effectively identical to my stats on a bike like that. But with assist, my average speed went up 4 miles per hour. My average total calorie burn has gone up 20. My active calorie burn went up 40. And I cut my commute by 10 minutes. And that's all I've got for now. I want to accumulate some more data, probably print it out or get my computer out here so I can display it. We can go over some of the fitness data. Oh, my average heart rate also stayed the same. So my average heart rate, about 151 beats per minute, 152 beats per minute, riding this guy for years and years and years. Riding this one yesterday, no assist, my average heart rate, 151. Riding this one today with assist, average heart rate, 151. Right. So anyway, we'll compare that data. We'll talk more about that aspect of e-biking. But for now, I just wanted to focus on the actual bike itself, show you the evolutions, and go from there. So any questions, put them in the comments. Thank you.